See, April's son, Austin, and Tucker are very involved in sports. Austin plays football, basketball, baseball. Let me tell you, baseball is what he's meant to play. It's natural to him. Yet Chuck knows like about his son. He knows the game and he plays it very well. He tries very hard to become stronger and better at every position he plays. Tucker plays the same sports his brother does, but with Tucker we figured out this past season it looks like he's going to be our football player. Any of you that knows me know that I love me some Ward Dunn. Let me find that page too, because now it's lost. Forgive me, guys. This is the only way I really figured out I could get the message across. So I want to read word for word.
Bring it on, man.
All right, I love me some Ward Dunn. Not only was he a Seminole, but he spent time with the Atlanta Falcons and is actually part owner with them now. We actually started kidding about how Tucker was reminiscent of Ward. It was like he had a light switch turned on his head from last year to this year. His view of the field of running the ball is incredible, especially being that he's only in second grade. Both of them played upward basketball here at Lawrence Drive. Austin played here before April and I was together, but Tucker started 3 years ago after April and I was married. Little did I know it, but God would use this as the way to bring me back to him. It was the second year that Tucker was playing here at Lawrence Drive that I learned who the pastor was. See, I had no interest in who the pastor was because I didn't really care. I was still very upset with God, even if there was a God in my mind. But I found out having more interactions with Brad, but I found myself having more interactions with Brad. Then came the season's award night. Tucker's coach hadn't made it here yet, so I asked Brad if there was anything I could do. He said, yeah, how about sit with the team in case the coach doesn't get here, and then when I call him up, you can come get the awards for him. So, you know, that happened, and then baseball season comes along. Tucker's real daddy had decided to coach a team, and he was asked me to be his assistant. Well, after the first game of the season, Tucker's daddy had to give up the manager's position for personal reasons, and I was asked to take it over. Reluctantly, because of the commitment it meant, practices and games, I agreed. The season continued on. It was probably halfway through the season. This one night we were scheduled to play the Rockies. Those of you who are familiar with Western Little League know that as a team, coaches have to umpire some of the games. Let's see. But you got to be from a different league. So we were warming up for the game, and then I see Brad coming on our field. He was going to be one of our umpires. He and some other guy named Eddie. Still not very sure who that guy is. They made some terrible calls that night. Just kidding, but the other team did feel that way. The Rockies fussed and complained about every little call. One of the coaches even become so irate that he started using profanity. See, I know what it's like to be an umpire that volunteers with no formal training. Plus, I was thinking, does this guy know he's cussing the preacher? My, oh my. That would be the last person I'd get up there with. This guy works directly for God. I know where you're going, pal. Again, I'm kidding, but being a coach, you know, that we're there for those kids and teach kids baseball and have fun. How we conduct ourselves on that field is teaching the kids how to do the same. Not these guys, though. It was like their lives depended on the outcome of that game. I remember after the game was over with, Brad and Eddie come up and thanked me for being patient with them, and I thanked them for umpiring. We went our separate ways. A couple more months went on, and I was still drinking uncontrollably on the weekends, and our family was wearing thin. April was emotionally hurt, Austin was emotionally hurt, but poor Tucker was just too young to understand what was going on. On top of all this, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's about the same time. Mom's memory had become so distorted that basically every 2 minutes it would wash away. And see, Daddy, when he was sick, we had 3 siblings to help out, me, my brother, and my sister. But with Mom, it's only me. My brother and sister are actually my half-brother and sister. There were times when Mom would call, she would call me 20 minutes, or 20 times in the matter of an hour, asking the same questions over and over. Because of the Alzheimer's, she had no clue where she was, what year it was, what month, or what day. There was a point that I thought I was really going to have a nervous breakdown. So again, I turned to alcohol. I would go to the rehab facility almost every day. And it was hard. It was so very hard because after all, I despised these places because I had to watch my dad basically wither away in one. Eventually, though, we decided to bring Mom out of the facility because she was actually starting to get better. I'm not sure if her memory actually improved or if she just got better with coping with it. Her boyfriend, who she's dated for years, offered to take her with him and let her live there. At the same time, it took the pressure off of me, but yet I was still very tired, broken, and hurt. On one night, me and April and Rita, April's mom, were sitting around the house discussing different things, and the topic of church come up. Though I was still very adamant on not going to church anytime soon, I said if there was any church that I would go to, it would be Brad's. Just because of the couple of times we had talked or interacted, I had felt a connection with Brad. I couldn't tell you what it was or why I felt this way, but it was unexplainable. Unbeknownst to me, the connection was about to get even deeper and more meaningful than I could ever imagine. Not even a week after we had the discussion, April, Austin, Tucker, and myself were sitting in the pizza joint on the corner of Harley Bridge and Skipper when in walked Brad. He walked up and said, "Leo, I was riding by, saw y'all's vehicle, and thought I'd stop by." He said, "Don't think I'm crazy." He had this look of happiness but terrified at the same time on his face. He proceeded to tell me that God had put me on his heart and wanted to know if we could grab some lunch one day and talk. I said, "Sure, Brad, it sounds great." So he took my number and said he would call me. Well, it wasn't even out the door yet, and I looked at April immediately and said, "What have you done?" She replies, "Baby, I didn't do a thing, I promise." So then I say, "Well, what did your mama do?" So we sat there the whole time. I'm wondering, got these thoughts running through my head. Who, what, when, where, how in the world did he find out that I said I would attend church where he's the pastor of? April, you had to have called. She said, "No, baby, I promise I didn't." Well, your mama sure did. So as soon as we got in the car, we called Rita, and Rita had not called me. So I was thinking to myself, you know, can he read minds? What's going on? I don't know. Anyway, I was really confused and wondered how in the world and what in the world just happened. So my curiosity was up. I was feeling anxious and wanted to know how this happened. I think I knew deep down what was going on, but wasn't ready to deal with it yet. So I waited on Brad to contact me, and being impatient as I am, after a week, I sent an email to him asking if he could call me. Not even 5 minutes passed by, my phone was ringing. I was excited. I was finally going to get to the bottom of the answer of what happened that day. So we decided to go and eat at El Catija. We went to eat, and we were talking for a few minutes, and we decided to have lunch that day, which was at Catija, as I said. And after sitting in order, and we started talking, then I decided, okay, let's go for it. I asked Brad to start telling me what happened. See, it didn't have anything to do with what I told Rita in April. It all started the night of the award ceremony when I asked Brad if I could do anything since Tucker's coach wasn't there. I have never been to an Upwards award night. Brad finished the night by asking if there's anyone that does not know Jesus Christ as their personal Lord and Savior. Well, little did I know, hold on, let me go back. Well, I did when I was little, but as this night Brad asked, I did not have a clue who Jesus was. Brad began to tell me that as he looked through the crowd looking for hands that had been raised, he saw me sitting there glowing as if I had some spotlight on me. I was immediately floored because I remember very specifically the night he was talking about, and even the exact moment he was talking about, because I knew when he asked the question, my hand should have been up. But I was scared, angry, and hurt to know Jesus Christ. I was still very hurt for losing my daddy, and I didn't want anything to do with Christ or God at the time. Then Brad continued on about half of the night. He started wondering how and when he could talk to me. Then the baseball game that he umpired come up in our conversation, and he told me that I grew heavier on his heart after that. I was really dumbfounded by now. And as I said, the whole time since the Upward Award night, he kept asking God, how do I approach him and win? Then one night, his sons who played football at Covenant Academy had a game. My father-in-law happened to be there, watching someone who goes to his church play as well. Well, Brad and Pearl, who are familiar with one another because both of our boys playing up the ball, as well as seeing each other at Western, struck up a conversation. Somewhere in that conversation, Brad asked Pearl my situation. Pearl said something to the effect, "Who knows?" It was no secret that I was battling my demons. So after that, God is really speaking to Brad about me now. Not long after that is the night when Brad rode by the pizza joint and saw our car. He was passing by, going home from church when he noticed it, and God told him, "Now, turn around now and go to Leo." He told me that he was telling God, but they're going to think I'm crazy, I'm not stalking him. He said God told him now was the time. So Brad turned around, came in, and reached out to me. Trying to take all this in, I knew there was more going on than coincidences. I was literally blown away. This is something from the movies. This is something that has to be scripted. Well, half that statement is true. It's scripted all right by the author of creation and life, God. Is right. So after a great lunch and learning so many things, Brad asked me if there was anything holding me back from having a personal relationship and walking hand in hand with Jesus Christ, at that moment, I knew it was time. I knew it was time to begin a new journey in my life. We walked outside, and right there, the parking lot, now closed, El Catija, I would say. But that was just the start. My mind was in it. I was ready for life change, but I still had to change my heart. See, you can have change in your mind all day long, but until your heart is ready, you won't see it.